Hello, hello. So, shiny new version of Windows is available, leading us to the question of whether or not you should upgrade now. We're going to walk through some things to think about, some things to know that hopefully will help it make it easier for you to figure out what's the best solution for you, because like everything else, it's not a one-size-fits-all solution. Come on, let's get this started. Hello there. So, new version of Windows, always a big deal, always a lot of chatter around something like this. And this was supposed to be a big release, right? Because it's not just one of the upgrades, maintenance releases, minor new improvements kind of stuff. Anytime they go from a whole number to a whole number, that means there's something big going on. So most of us out here are probably on Windows 10. And if your system is compatible, and we'll get to that in a minute, you're probably getting little suggestions and messages from Windows saying, hey, you really should upgrade. Some of them are not so subtle. So I got one on one of my systems that basically locked me down. It's like, okay, we want you to upgrade now. And didn't make it really easy to get out of that process. That makes me not unhappy. That makes me very unhappy, because the control of our system should always belong to us. The good news is, if you click on the decline upgrade, that is the way out. I was a little afraid to do that at first, because the way that that's worded implied that that might be a forever thing. But it's not, because it keeps asking me. So if you get that and you're trying to get work done, just tell it to go away, decline it, and you can always change your mind later. But that's what's happening. They are pushing hard. They want everybody who can to upgrade to this. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, right? So I'm not saying don't do it. I'm saying you need to decide what is right for you. Now, the first thing that you need to look at is whether or not your system is even compatible with the new software. Now, this is a constantly changing kind of a thing, right? If you go and you look at the various and sundry resources, hang on one second, let me bring up something else here. Come on. If you of course, anytime that you do a change like this, there's always some kind of page from Microsoft, and that link is in the description, where you can go and see what are the recommended specs and details about it and all that kind of stuff. And then they've given you a tool that will let you run a system check. Now, even faster is to just go into settings and just type in the word upgrade, and it'll bring you to a page that may or may not already tell you whether or not your system might be able to upgrade. They always start with the really high specs of this kind of thing, and then over time they tend to tweak it down a little bit to make it available to a wider audience. That's where things get a little murky, because if you've got the specs that are, a great high-end match, it's a fairly new computer, you're probably fine. You'll probably won't run into any problems. It's when they start to open up the floodgates a little bit that things can get a little wonky. The good news about being in the PC world is we have lots of options. The bad news about being in the PC world is we have lots of options. So it's really hard for them to guarantee that every single computer and every single combination of motherboard and memory and graphics and all that stuff is going to work seamlessly, right? It is, just from a technical, practical standpoint, not possible for them to test every possible combination out there, right? So even like the same type of computer, if you buy, a Dell computer, this model with this, size motherboard, this motherboard, this graphics card, all that, if you buy 5 of those, they will all be different. There will be something different about each and every one of those. That's just the way things go, right? They have to get parts from different suppliers because there's not enough available from one, assembly line issues. So there's always things that are going to make it not a clear, exact match kind of situation. So first, double check that and see whether or not this is even an issue for you. If not, do not panic. Your machine is totally fine. If you're running Windows 10 and you're getting your job done and it's running fine and it's not super slow or anything, you're good to go. Don't stress over this. This is not something that you need to waste a lot of your energy on, because you're good, and you're going to be good until 2025 at least, because that's how long they're going to support Windows 10. So plenty of time to think about possibly getting a new computer sometime in the future. You don't have to jump into this now. You don't have to go and panic buy a new computer. You're good. Everybody good on that? If nothing else, take that away from this session, because that is very important. The other thing, if you do decide that you're going to do this, is that you already need to have Windows 10 installed. So if you're on a system that has an older version of Windows on it, you need to get it up to Windows 10. Odds are if you're not running Windows 10, there's probably a reason, and maybe you just want to leave things where they are too until you can afford to get another machine. All right, so let's talk about what you need to think about, right? So what are the trade-offs if you stay with Windows 10 or you go to Windows 11? Number one is, right now, Windows 10 works with everything, right? So hardware, software, whatever you got going on, Windows 10 works. And it works fine, and it has been proven over the years, and it's all good to go. So there's no driving need right now for people to go to Windows 11 because you're good. Not only that, but there is an inverse on this, because right now, because Windows 11 is new, there are some glitchy things showing up. There are some situations where, this particular hard drive or this external drive or this, whatever you're using in your system, there's a chance that it might not work with Windows 11. Same goes for software. Right? The software that we're all using today was probably built for earlier versions of Windows before they even knew what Windows 11 was going to be. Now, yes, okay, there's always fringe cases. Like if there's some new software that you got, maybe they did already know about Windows 11. Maybe they already had, a test version to work with. But 99.9% of the stuff we're using is built for Windows 10 or earlier. So from a software standpoint, there's no benefit to going to Windows 11 because Windows 10 is doing everything you need it to do. And the reality of any new software, right? This is just a rule of life in the technology age, is Windows 11 is new and there's going to be issues, right? Because again, they do test, they work very hard to try to make it as seamless and as stable as possible, but until it gets out into the wild, they can't possibly know all of the things that need to be dealt with. Trust me, they have a list of things they know they need to deal with. That's just software development. But there is going to be things that come up that they couldn't possibly know until it got out there. So that's the other thing, is it doesn't hurt to wait for this kind of stuff, because over the next couple of years, they will stabilize it. They will improve it. They will add in the things that aren't there yet. We'll get to that in a minute. But in general, you don't have to volunteer to be the guinea pig beta tester, unless you want to, because there's really no driving need right now. The thing that made me not... Normally I jump on these pretty quickly, and I did have it installed on a test system, but then I needed to do something real with that test system, so I had to remove it, because Windows 11 is new, and I'm sure it will get there. However, right now, they changed the taskbar. And I don't like the new taskbar because it doesn't offer as much functionality and customization, right? So right now the taskbar, well, most people have it down at the bottom, and that's totally fine. Oops, no, that's not what I wanted. It's something that you can change. You can customize it. So if you want to drag it to either side or the top, you can do that. If you want to make it taller or thinner, you can do that. It's really easy to put applications that you use all the time there. I use that, I use the taskbar for a lot of things. Like that's my go-to for most of my quick functionality. Not so easy in Windows 11. First of all, you can't relocate it, which is a problem for me because sometimes I do physically need to move it someplace else. But also you can't do a lot of the things as quickly or easily as you could before. Some of them right now, adding some applications down there and stuff, it looks like you're going to need a third-party tool, which I'm not getting into. Sooner or later, they will listen to us and they will fix that. But if you are comfortable and happy working in the Windows world, if you're a heavy taskbar user, if you like to put your taskbar someplace else, you're really not going to want to go to Windows 11 right now. You're going to want to wait. One of the big things that they've been pushing for Windows 11 is that you're going to be able to run Android apps on it. As of right now, that's not really there in the mainstream. There are some different... When you install Windows, you can get on different tracks. There's beta tracks, there's test tracks, there's all this kind of stuff. There are some tracks that are actually seeing it, but most of the general release stuff is not seeing that right now. So, unless, if that's what you were going to do it for, if that's why you were going to go to Windows 11, you might as well wait, because it's really not ready for prime time yet, and you can reevaluate it when it is ready, at which point they will have stabilized some other things. Because despite the fact that Windows 11 is a big release, it is just like Windows 10, but there's a few things like the taskbar that are an issue. Another thing that's an issue, which is really annoying, is they are trying to force us to use Edge. Nope, not interested, don't want to do it. To the point where, like, you have to take a lot of extra steps in order to change your default browser from Edge to anything else. Basically what you have to do, and I'll do a whole thing on this when I do reinstall it, but right now, and hopefully they're going to fix this because we're all screaming. Right now, if you just want to change what your default browser is, you just go into settings, you say default browser, I want it to be whatever, and you're done. In Windows 11, you have to go in and you have to change the mapping of every extension file type to whatever browser you want to use in order for that to happen. And even after you do that, Windows keeps honking at you about, you really should be using Edge, you really should be using Edge. No, thank you very much. I will decide what I want to use. You don't get to tell me. So that's a big deal for me because it's a pain in the neck, and it's not user-friendly, and it's not serving the user. And you know what? That's what software is supposed to do. And this just happens to be a rant from today anyway. Developers are very talented people. They're very smart. They're very good at what they do. However, I'm sorry, but they're not good at understanding what real users do, how real users think, and what real users need, right? They look at everything the way a developer does, which is fine because that's what they do. Where it gets to be a problem is when developers think and are allowed to make decisions that directly impact the user experience, because they are terrible at that, which is okay. We don't need to all be good at everything. That's why we work on teams. Everybody has their strength. Everybody works together and does what they do best. We're fine. When people start infringing and doing things that they're not particularly good at, that's where we get things like, oh no, you have to use Edge. No. So the good news is you can change it, but the bad news is it's a lot of work. And if you're like me and you have multiple systems, the irritation factor gets multiplied. And then when you're having to, like, help all kinds of people do this, which is going to be coming, I see that train coming down the track at me. It's annoying because there's no way for me to help automate or simplify that. Now, if Microsoft doesn't change it, I have no doubt that somebody will come up with a tool to do that. And so I will keep an eye out for that. And if I do find one I feel is trustworthy, I will let you guys know. But that's really annoying. Okay. Another thing that you're hearing a lot around the Windows 11 marketing is that it's got, it's built for gaming, right? Which is great, right? Because PC gaming is a big thing. I personally love it. The thing is, there's nothing that they're doing on 11 that you can't do on 10. Either it's already there on 10, or you can install the stuff that Windows 11 has on Windows 10 and get the same benefit out of it. So, again, not really something that's going to, even if you are a big gamer, right? If you're on Twitch all the time and you're doing your gaming, from your PC and all that, you're really not going to get any big benefit from using Windows 11 because it's not offering anything else. Even like the frame rates and stuff, it's all benchmarking the same. So not a big reason to upgrade unless you just want to. Let's see. So that's basically that. So those are the things to think about, like, what is it, that you might benefit from, right? So Cali was talking about, she's got concerns every time she has to do an upgrade, and I totally get that, right? That's not what I wanted. Okay, I don't know why that's broken. Hang on. Okay, why did that keep changing? Hang on. Let's fix that, shall we? Here we go. Okay? Updates scare everybody, right? Because there's always the chance that when you're doing an update, something's going to go wrong. And it could be minor, it could be catastrophic. So that's why if you do decide that this is right for you, and it may well be, I'm not telling anybody not to do Windows 11. I'm just saying that you don't have to do it, right? There's no driving need today when I'm recording this to do it. If you want to, if you're curious, if you just like to have the latest, greatest, that's fine. Go ahead. You'll be good. Just make sure before you do it as an upgrade that you do a full backup of all of your stuff just in case something happens. And that's true for anything. Anytime you do a big upgrade like that, you always, always, always want to do a backup because stuff happens. So you do want to be careful about that kind of thing. But yeah, that's basically it. Like I said, if you are going to do it, you're going to need to verify whether or not your machine can handle it. You're going to need Windows 10 to already be installed. You have until 2025. Is there an actual? I think is there an actual end date on it? It just says 2025. They didn't say a month, but we have years before they're going to stop supporting and updating Windows 10. And sometimes they add some time to that, sometimes they don't. It depends. But either way, we've got years. Now, the flip side of this is, okay, we've been talking about upgrading. So you've got your own machines, should you or should you not upgrade it? And frankly, my recommendation is not unless you really want to, because there's no have to. If you're going to go and buy a new PC, and it's coming with Windows 11, then the next question is, well, should I roll it back? And I would say no, unless you run into a situation where some part of your hardware setup or some software that you absolutely need won't work with it. So if your machine comes with Windows 11, then hey, great. I would say go ahead, try it, test all of your software, make sure if you do run into a problem, check with the support team for that particular hardware or software piece, see if they have a solution for it. That may force you to roll back, but if not, just go ahead and roll with it, and you'll just be a little bit ahead of the curve and be able to skip it. My main concern right now is the people who are asking me about the upgrade situation. Austin. Hello, Austin. How are you? So Austin is same thing that I've seen and heard, right? Gamer here, yeah, no improvements in your experience. Right. Over time, will there be? Of course. They'll keep working on it. This is not a new OS release is not, it's released. Okay. That's it. We'll be back when we have, Windows 12 ready. They're going to keep updating this just like they've been doing Windows 10 over time, and it will continue to evolve and grow. But in this moment, yeah, it's not really so much. Okay, so Austin, so you did upgrade. So if you don't mind, I'm just curious, what was the trigger for you? Is it just because you were curious and you wanted it? Did you have a driving need for it? I'd love to hear what your decision-making process was, because so far I haven't found anybody who has done it for any, driving need. It's not like they had some new software that absolutely had to have Windows 11 or something like that. Cali says, I use my PC laptop for gaming and OBS. VMAX. Pretty basic, so maybe the update isn't free. Yeah, so right now, probably not. In a couple of years, sure, maybe. But by then, you might be building that PC that you were talking about or buying a new one or whatever. But that's really the point for me, is the fact that there's really not a big driving need for you to do this. Just before I wrap up, I do want to remind you that this is still available out there. So basically, we're all content creators in one form or another, right? And we all hit that blank page moment. So I made myself a list so that because I don't have time to waste with that. So I came up with a list of content ideas, and then I shared it with some friends who liked it. So now it's available for everybody. So it's 130 content topic ideas. They are not tech related. They're totally generic, so everybody can use them. So you can just go to yourtechcoach.net/content ideas, and you can get a free copy of it. It's a PDF file. And literally what I do is I lay the pages out, I shuffle them up, I lay them out, I close my eyes, and I pick one, and that's the topic. And that gets me over that hump of, oh God, I need to post. I don't know what to post. Feel free to use it. Anything I can do to relieve a little stress for all of us, I'm calling that a win, because we all have enough stress right now, right? Okay. I was just teasing. You're saving vMix for your PC build. Well, that's a good way to go. That is an excellent way to go. Absolutely. All right. So Austin was generous and answered the question. No driving need. As a professional in the tech field, I like to learn new systems. Right. So for us, eventually I will go back and put it on my test system. I'm not putting it on my streaming system. I'm not putting it on my works systems out there. I'll just have it. I always have an extra laptop around that I just kind of test drive stuff on and all that. So I'll put it on that because I use that, every couple of days. I don't use it every day, but I use it a lot for that exact reason. I need to know, because I'm in the business. I need to get comfortable with it. I need to know what is working and what isn't working and what changes over time. So totally get that. All right, everybody. So that is what I have for you. I hope that helps. If you're watching this on the replay, I hope you'll jump into the comments and tell me if you are or not going to upgrade. And if you have already or you're going to, we'd love to know, what's driving you to do it, and how, if you go through the process, how well it goes for you. Because the more information we get, the better it is for everybody, and it'll help other people making their decision, because it's a not insignificant thing to decide to upgrade your operating system. There is going to be stress with that. So anything we can do to share our knowledge so that people feel more secure about doing it or not is always very, very helpful. No problem, Callie. That's what I'm here for. All right, everybody. For those of you who don't know, my name is Kathleen. I'm here every Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Time with a different topic. You are always welcome to come and join live or watch the replays. If you have questions, comments, if you have a topic that you want me to cover, please reach out to yourtechcoach.net. There's a contact form there. Let me know what your topic idea is or if you have a problem. If you have something that you need help with and you need fast help, please make sure you give me a way to get back in touch with you so that I can help you. Otherwise, it'll be content for another show, which is fine, but I want you to get the help you need when you need it because, that's kind of important too. Timing is important. All right, everybody, have a good one. We will talk again soon. Bye.